Good morning. We're covering two major developing stories this morning. First, the latest on a passenger plane shot out of the sky with nearly 300 people on board.
Shot down, not an accident. Blown out of the sky.
And then Israel's invasion and ground assault on Gaza. An Israeli soldier was killed overnight, but the battle continues this morning. It's Friday, July 18th. Early Today starts right now. Good morning, I'm Dara Brown. The crash of the Malaysian airliner over war-torn Ukraine has led to more questions and more finger-pointing by world leaders. Experts say big pieces of wreckage over a wide area is evidence the jetliner blew up in midair. The Ukrainian government says it was a Russian-made missile, but Russian President Vladimir Putin blames Ukraine for the overall unrest in the area. Malaysia Airlines has released a list of passengers according to their nationality. Of the 298 people on board Flight 17, more than half were from the Netherlands. Another 40 were from Malaysia. The Malaysian Prime Minister says, quote, "We must and we will find out what happened."
No stone will be left unturned. If it transpires that the plane was indeed shot down, we insist that the perpetrators must swiftly be brought to justice.
Reaction continues to pour in from around the world. NBC's Tom Costello has the latest.
Amateur video from eastern Ukraine captured the thick black smoke billowing from the plane's wreckage. On the ground, the intense fire left a scorched landscape. But the distinctive markings left little doubt this was a Malaysia Airlines Boeing 777. This photo shows the actual plane just after Flight 17 took off from Amsterdam Schiphol Airport at 12:30 p.m. European time, bound for Kuala Lumpur. Nearly 3 hours later, Ukrainian air traffic controllers lost contact with the plane. The Ukrainian government quickly said the plane had been hit by a surface-to-air missile at 33,000 feet. At the time, the plane was over contested territory in eastern Ukraine, only 31 miles from the Russian border. Eyewitnesses on the ground reported seeing what looked like a missile, then an explosion in the sky. Ukrainian authorities reported the wreckage was scattered over a 9-mile area and included very large pieces of the fuselage. To aviation experts, that suggests the plane likely came apart in midair.
This is a high probability that the airplane did suffer some sort of in-flight breakup. Now, what the cause of that in-flight breakup could be one of two things. Either it was damage due to a presumed missile strike, or because the airplane was descending at a very high rate of speed, it could have been aerodynamic forces.
The Ukrainian government immediately accused Russian-backed separatists of firing a Soviet-era missile to bring the plane down. The wreckage now lies in territory held by rebels who have reportedly already recovered the plane's black boxes.
This morning, the Dutch Prime Minister called the Malaysian Airlines crash in Ukraine one of the, quote, biggest air disasters in the history of the Netherlands. After the crash, families and loved ones of those on board showed up at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam, trying to find out if their loved ones were on board. They were quickly whisked away from reporters and taken to a local hotel. NBC's Katie Tur spoke to one woman who was supposed to be on flight MH17. As you can imagine, she was very shaken up.
I'm shaking. I don't even know what to do, and I'm feeling physically sick. And I was like from Hilton, The Hague, coming to the airport in the taxi. I was just crying. I'm just thinking that I feel like I've been given a second chance, and so hopefully that we'll get there safely and I will see my family again.
Today, Schiphol Airport is operating normally according to FlightAware. Today's Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 from Schiphol to Kuala Lumpur took off within the past hour. Coming up, we'll get U.S. reaction and we'll go live to Moscow to hear how Vladimir Putin is handling this disaster. Now to today's other top story. After 10 days of air attacks and a failed ceasefire attempt, Israel has launched a ground invasion on the Gaza Strip. Infantry, artillery, drones, tanks, and combat engineers all on the move. Flares up and fires lit up the night sky. And it continues this morning. We're just beginning to get a clearer picture of the initial casualties, the latest numbers. The Israeli army says one of its soldiers is dead, with another 2 injured. On the other side, health officials in Gaza claim 20 Palestinians have been killed since the ground operation began. Hamas has also responded. They called the invasion foolish. They said it would have, quote, dreadful consequences. There's no telling yet just how long this could last, but we're learning about specific and strategic places the Israeli military may be targeting. NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel is in Gaza with more on that.
The ground invasion began with Israeli strikes on several sides of Gaza, from the north and east, and from the sea. We watched the tracers from Israeli guns firing over Gaza. They show where the rounds are going. Illumination flares were shot over Gaza City, the most densely populated part of the Gaza Strip, home to nearly 2 million Palestinians. The flares help Israel target as drones circle the city. Israel said its 10-day military offensive against Hamas has, quote, entered a new phase. It's unclear how long it could last. Israeli officials suggested 2 weeks. The immediate target, Israel said, are tunnels dug by Hamas from Gaza into Israel. Israel says militants use the tunnels to sneak up on and attack Israeli towns. Israel released footage it claims shows about a dozen militants trying to approach an Israeli town. But when they hear a drone, they head back underground. Israel called in an artillery strike to destroy the tunnel.
NBC's Richard Engel reporting. NBC meteorologist Bill Cairns is here with your Friday forecast. And good morning to you, Bill.
Good morning. Yeah, the big story this morning is the landfall of Super Typhoon Ramasan over in China. This increased really quickly in intensity right before landfall. Here's the picture of it on the satellite imagery, and you can just see the little donut hole there in the middle. That's the eye of the storm. And that little city there, Haikou, has 2 million residents. So be expecting to hear about some horrible stories there as that typhoon is now making landfall. Back here in the U.S., a very hot day yesterday in Vegas at 109. The areas in the northwest still warm, but it has cooled off a little bit in the last couple of days. And now we're going to see significant cooling as some cooler air from the north has moved in. So looks like your little summer fling there with really hot temperatures has ended. Today about 75 in Seattle. Medford back down where you should be into the low 90s. And we're still looking at the warm conditions more or less where they need to be down in the deserts. That's your national forecast. Now here's a look at the weather outside your window. So today in areas of Oregon, we're going to continue to be on the warmish side. Not hot, but warm. Roseburg around 88 today. Notice how cool we are in the coastal areas with the marine layer hanging tough. San Diego to Monterey, upper 60s to low 70s. Weekend forecast will feature pretty much a quiet forecast, only little temperatures of concern. I'll give you those coming up.
Great. Thanks, Bill. We'll see you in a few. The U.S. will send an NTSB crash team to investigate the debris field of Malaysia Flight 17. But how will the U.S. respond once more details and a possible suspect is named? That's next.